Hello and welcome to episode 89 of the Giddy Yarns podcast. As always, I am Helen and I am coming to you from Dundee in Scotland, where I live with my husband Tom and my two boys, Arthur, who is 7, and Jasper, who is 4. For anyone that is new, welcome. Hello, I am the dyer behind Giddy Yarns, and this is my crafting podcast where I mostly talk about kind of what I'm knitting on, what I'm crocheting, because there's more of that nowadays than there used to be, and basically any crafts that I am working on at the moment, I have a chat. This week is a longer episode, so there'll be a few extra crafts popped in, a little bit of a chat about books and all kinds of things. So let's go through everything I've got for you this week. Let's start there, shall we? First of all, I've got a little admin-y section because our wrapping up the whips, wrapping up those whips make along, whatever you want to call it, has come to an end. So I have got some prizes to announce and prize winners to announce. Then I want to take a little bit of time just to chat about a new kind of group for the podcast. I've got a couple of finished objects to share. I am going to talk a little bit about a work in progress. I've got quite a lot of new cast ons to share, of course. Blanket progress as well, a little bit of blanket progress. I'm going to share very briefly a little bit of cross stitch this week. I haven't got any spinning to share this week because I really haven't made any progress at all since I last shared that with you. But I do have a book that I finished that I thought I would chat about. I've got a little bit of Yarny Goodness to share, and I've also going to have a little bit of shop news to chat about at the end of the podcast. So quite a lot to talk about this week, I think. My show notes are just down underneath the video, so if you see me looking down, I'm looking down at the show notes just to make sure that I've not forgotten anything. Talking of show notes, you can find my show notes for the video underneath the video in the drop-down box. Every week I put links to pretty much everything that I talk about down there, as well as kind of where you can find me various places on the internet, social media, so where you can find me on Instagram, where my website is, and all of that kind of stuff, as well as at the screen that you will have seen briefly at the beginning of the video. Right, do I need to say anything else? Sorry, I need to say sorry there wasn't a video last week. It was just a hectic week. The last week of February was a bit chaotic for me. Everything just kind of happened at once. I had clubs going out, I had a virtual yarn show, the kids had just gone back to school, and I think I'd put all this pressure on myself with the fact that the kids had gone back to school and I was supposed to be super productive because of that and all of these kinds of things, and in the end I just wasn't productive and there was too much to do, and in the end something had to give, and at the weekend I just sort of said I just need some time off, so I'm not going to sit and record a podcast. So I'm sure you all understand that, but I am back this week. Things are under control again. And yeah, I'm back. Although I have just spotted the state of my fingernails, so huge apologies. I had meant to paint my fingernails, but I have been dyeing a lot this week, so I have got red stained fingernails, so apologies for the state of those. I should have painted them before I podcast. Right, let's actually talk about some stuff to do with the podcast, shall we? I'm going to start straight in with the admin-y section and with those prize winners. So as many of you will know, we were running the Wrapping Up Those Whips make along, which finished at the end of February. And I have drawn 4 prize winners. I drew 2 prize winners from the finished object thread on Ravelry. I drew 1 prize winner from the Instagram hashtag, and then I've also drawn a prize winner from the Ravelry chatter thread. So for finished objects, I have got 3 physical prizes. So the first prize, I'm trying to check my show notes. Everything was drawn using random number generator in the Ravelry finished objects threads. The same with Instagram. What I did is I just got all the posts with the hashtag, and I used, there were 26 posts on Instagram, and I used a number generator to pick those, and then I counted up from the bottom because that was the oldest As if it had gone in the Ravelry thread, that would have been post number 1, if that makes sense. Anyway, I can explain that as I go through, can't I? Let's start with the Ravelry finished objects thread. So the first prize for that was post number 5. There were 61 entries, I think. Oh no, 60 entries, but of course my post doesn't count. So 61, oh, does it matter? It doesn't matter, does it? You know what I mean. Anyway, the winner was post number 5, who was Philippa, who is Philippa MC on Ravelry. I will pop all of the names on the screen as I say them so you can find them. And she is Philippa in Portugal, and she finished, I believe, I should have written these down, shouldn't I, what you'd finished? I don't think I did right, but she finished, I'm pretty sure, a Battenberg blanket. And your prize, Philippa, is one of my sets of mini skeins. This is the, oh, see, now I've forgotten. I think this was the 1910s. From my Nostalgia Club last year. So congratulations. Perfect for somebody who has just finished a big blanket, because you now need more minis to make another blanket. So anybody that has won a physical prize, just get in touch with me and let me know your shipping address, and I will get things out to you in the post as soon as possible. So this one is for you, Philippa. Congratulations. And then the second prize from the Ravelry FO thread went to post number 27, which was Heather, who is Lace Wing on Heather on Ravelry. And I've completely forgotten what it was that you finished, actually. I feel like it was a pair of socks. Was it a pair of socks? I think it was. I think it might have been a pair of socks, and I think it might have been a West Yorkshire Spinners Christmas kind of colourway. But congratulations, you have won this skein of yarn from me at Giddy Yarns, and this was my, again, another colourway from my Nostalgia Club. This was the colourway from the 2000s, it's always really hard to say, the 2000s decade, the noughties decade, and this is my Golden Jubilee colourway, and this one is on a DK base. So again, get me your address, get in contact with me. You can get in contact with me via Instagram, via Ravelry, via email. All of those things will be linked down below. And I will get your prize shipped out to you as soon as I can. And then the final physical prize winner was from the Instagram hashtag. And that is, your Instagram name is Nina Knitting, and that is Nina in Norway. So congratulations, Nina. And again, you've won a physical prize. So you have won this skein here, which is on my merino nylon sock base. And this is, again, another Nostalgia Club colourway. And it is from my 1950s decade, and it's the rock and roll colourway. So again, get in touch. I've actually got your address, but let me know that you've seen this. And I will get it in the post to you as soon as I can. And then finally, we have one prize which I have drawn from the chatter thread on Ravelry. And the prize for this is a copy of a brand new pattern. It's the Bedtime Stories cowl pattern. It's not called that. Why am I calling it that? I'm calling it's the Gentle Waves cowl, but it used my Bedtime Stories minis to design it in, which is why I keep thinking of it as the Bedtime Stories cowl, even though it's not called that. It's a lovely new pattern by Anne of Thistle Glen Designs, and I will pop it up. I can't decide which side I'm going to pop it up. I'll pop it up this side so that you can see what it looks like. But the winner of that one is Viola on Ravelry, and your username is Viviwee. I never know how to pronounce that one. Again, I'll make sure it goes on the screen, but you are Viola. So again, get in touch and let me know that you've seen it, and I'll get Anne to send you over the pattern prize on Ravelry. So congratulations to anyone that has won a prize. Thank you so much for joining in. It was such a good fun make along. I really enjoyed it, and I got things finished this month with the encouragement of finishing them for the make along, which is kind of unheard of with me in make alongs. I never finish things for the make alongs that I run myself. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe we'll do another one later in the year. What do you reckon? Do you think that'd be a good idea? I think so. But while we're talking about make-alongs, We have also still got the Giddy Yarns Make Along, which is running, again, ongoing. I always talk about it, but the next prize draw will be at the end of March. So if you've got any Giddy Yarns projects on the needles, if you get them finished up before the end of March, you'll be in with a chance of a prize then. And I will keep it ongoing. So if you don't get it finished by the end of March, you can enter it in for the next quarter. Entries are available on Instagram with the hashtag GiddyYarnsFO, and also on Ravelry in the finished objects threads and stuff. And again, all of that will be linked down below. Right. Whew. Breath. That was the admin-y stuff. I'm going to have more tea. I could just hold on to my tea for a minute. New group. That's what I wanted to talk about. So, as many of you will be aware, there have been issues with Ravelry over the last year. Issues with their accessibility and around their new design, and a lot of kind of problems and concerns that a lot of people have had. We currently have a Ravelry group that runs, and I've been trying to make make-alongs and things more accessible with having hashtags on Instagram where I draw prizes from as well as using the Ravelry group. But from the end of this month, from the end of March, I believe, Ravelry will be disabling the function to switch your Ravelry to the classic view, which is actually a way that many people can overcome the issues of the new design. So that's no longer going to be optional. You're only going to be able to use the new design on Ravelry. And I wanted to make sure that we could find a place or create a place away from Ravelry that was still had that same community feeling of a Ravelry group and still enabled us to kind of host make-alongs and all of that kind of thing. But away from Ravelry, in case there are people who aren't able to access Ravelry when things change. And I mean, I know there'll be some of you who have chosen not to access Ravelry as well. And basically, I want to find a place that's a bit more community focused, that is separate to kind of Ravelry and is a bit more accessible in that kind of way. I won't be taking my Ravelry group away. I won't be stopping that at the moment, because I know there are also a lot of people who struggle with change and who like having everything in one place, and I completely understand that. But what I have done is I have opened a Mighty Networks group. Now, I know for many people that will be a completely new thing that you've never heard of, but if you follow Louise Tilbrook, who used to have the Everyday Knitter Facebook group, which is a massive, massive Facebook group for knitters, she made a decision, gosh, was it last year or the year before? I can't quite remember when, to move away from Facebook, and she set up the Everyday Knitter group in Mighty Networks. And it's a really, really interesting... I don't quite know what to call it, a network. It's a network, we'll call it that. It's a really, really interesting network. And I know also that Sophie, who's the host of the Spring Snowflake podcast, has a Mighty Networks group as well. So I've kind of been following along with both of them and kind of seeing how it works and getting a bit of a feel for it. And I've set up one specifically for the podcast. There will be a link below the video, so that will get you entry, because it's set up as kind of a private group, so you can only access it through the link that I give you, basically. So the link will be below the video, and that will give you access to the group. I've also popped the link in my Instagram link bit in the bio with the links there as well, so you can find it that way. I've set up a few topics in there, and there's a little welcome thing sort of about the group and kind of the purpose behind it, as well as a little bit of a guideline on how to use Mighty Networks. So yeah, please come along and join and give it a go. I'm still very new to it, so I'm still kind of finding my feet. I'm still kind of working it out. If anybody uses it quite a lot already, because maybe you're part of the Everyday Knitter group or something like that, then please come in and chat. The thing that I really like about it is that you can start your own conversations. You can just put up a post or a thread or whatever about what you're working on, and people can comment, and I can see what you're working on, and I feel like it's going to be more of a kind of community back and forwards, if that makes sense. So you can share things that you're working on and things that you're excited about, things that you've discovered, and you can share those with me, and I can share things, and it just feels more of a community kind of thing. Anyway, I've rambled about Mighty Networks now. I'm a little bit nervous about it because it's something different and it's something new, and I feel a little bit like it might just fall completely flat and nobody will join it and I'll have spent ages building it up. But I wanted the opportunity to be there, and I really do think it's a really, really good kind of, I can't think of the word, platform. Platform is the word I want. It's a really good kind of platform to create a community group on, especially around something specific like the podcast. So let me know what you think. Right, should we talk about some actual knitting? We're 15 minutes in. It's a good job this week's a long episode, isn't it? 15 minutes in and I've not talked about any knitting. I haven't said this yet, but I will put timestamps. I will put timestamps below the longer videos so that you can find the sections that you want to knit, you want to listen to, if you want to skip stuff that I'm rambling about, but also so that if you've kind of watched some of it, gone away, come back and watching more, it's easier to kind of find where you were. Right, finished objects. I have 2 finished objects, and I'm going to start with the teeny tiny little small one. Here it is. I finished my little blue bird of happiness, or orange bird, firebird as Arthur is calling it. I'm not allowed to give this to Arthur's teacher because he has stolen it, which is why it's a little bit squished, because he's kind of been playing with it. But yeah, here it is. It's very, very cute. It was really, really simple. The pattern is the Bluebird of Happiness pattern by Sarah Elizabeth Kellner, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry. I've not been able to find it off Ravelry, unfortunately, but it is a free pattern on Ravelry at the moment. And it's really cute. It's written for worsted weight yarn. I used fingering weight held double and it worked fine. It's kind of okay with a toy like this, isn't it? Because the size doesn't really matter. Yeah, and the yarn we used was the yarn that Arthur snow dyed, and I think it's come out really pretty, hasn't it? Really, really fun. So Arthur has stolen this, and he's just taking it to bed with him really and playing with it. He's called it Firebird. He absolutely loves it. But yeah, one little thing finished. And then the other thing I have finished is my opal socks. So these, there is a pair. See, there are 2 of them. They do not match. Well, they actually look like they match like that, don't they? But they are offset. There we go. They don't match, but that was purposeful. I don't mind with this kind of crazy kind of commercial yarn. It doesn't bother me if the socks don't match at all. But yeah, and I finished these in time for the SCR1 TNO podcast's stripy sock cal, Sharon's stripy sock cal that she's running. I finished these in time for the double entry for February for opal socks. So that's really, really fun. I really love how this colourway has knitted up. Let me pop one of them down. I really, really like how this is knitted up. I really enjoyed this colourway. I like that it's got quite a lot of variance in colour. They're totally my favourite colours, kind of purples and teals, and yeah, definitely. And they're just really, really fun. And it was nice to get another pair of socks done, actually, and to get a whole pair of socks done in a month, which is kind of a novelty for me at the moment. I knit them, as I said, they're my opal socks, so I use this yarn. This is Opal Fairy Tale. I got this from Suffolk Socks, who are a UK-based small business, and it's in the Elfenlaken colourway, the Laughing Elf colourway, and yeah, they're just really pretty. I used just normal sock, vanilla socks. So I did, although I think I might have done a longer rib. I think I did 15 rows of rib, just 2x2 rib, and then I did something like 50 or 60 rows on the leg. I can't quite remember. I popped in a German short row heel. I used the one I used whatever heel pattern Mina Phillips used in her New York sock club years and years and years ago, because that's when I learned short row heels. So I used whatever pattern she used in those socks. And I've used the same one ever since, pretty much. Then I did my standard 65 rows for the foot, and then I just put in a toe, and I can't remember what toe. It's the one again. I think it's I think it might be the rounded toe from most of Helen Stewart's sock patterns. Again, it's a toe that I kind of learned how to do and I've just stuck with it. I use 2.5mm needles. Yeah, and that's it. That's a pair of socks. So they will get tucked away in my little box of socks, ready for the beginning of December when I gift myself a box full of new hand knit socks. Yeah, I'm trying to think whether there was anything else I needed to say about those. Not really. You've seen them quite a lot over the last few weeks, but they are finished. I'm just trying to think where to put them. I'm just going to pop them down there. Right, what is next? I'm also going to pop those down there. Finished objects, works in progress. I feel like I've not made a lot of progress on many things this week. Well, over the last couple of weeks it's been. I feel like, considering that it's been 2 weeks since I last recorded a podcast, I should have a lot more progress and a lot more to show you. But it was a really, really busy week and I didn't get a lot of knitting time and things were quite stressful. So I didn't want to knit when I did have time to knit. But I have added a little bit more to my advent shawl. So this is the Cupid's Arrow wrap by Ellie of Craft House Magic. And I'm using the Spectrum Fibres advent calendar that I purchased in 2020 to knit it. And I think the last time I showed you, I was down by one of these stitch markers. I think I popped this stitch marker, the sock. This is from Front Pocket Studios. She does these gorgeous kind of drawn and then shrunk. I don't know what you call it. They're really cute. Anyway. Yeah, so I finished this pink section and I've just started adding the next colour. This is the next colour that I am adding in. And then I've also dug out the next 2 colours. So these are the next colours that will be going along. And then we start moving into some oranges and away from the pinks a little bit. And as I said, the yarn is from the Spectrum Fibres advent calendar. And the pattern is the Cupid's Arrow wrap by Ellie from Craft House Magic, Ellie Jones, and it's brilliant. I really enjoy it. I need to work on it more. Yeah, there's just been a lot going on since Christmas, hasn't there? It's been a bit chaotic, and then I finished other things, and yeah, if I get this finished by next Christmas, I'll be happy. But that's pretty much the only work in progress that I've actually made any difference on. I did pick my campsite cardie up to start the sleeves, only to discover that I didn't have the right needles for the sleeves, which is a bit annoying. So I ordered some. I picked up some of these higher ones, 5mm needles, and they're, what are they? They're, I don't know, 30 centimetre circulars. I got these again from Craft House Magic. I ordered these from Ellie's shop. She stocks a lot of higher needles. So now I can actually start the sleeves. I've already got the size down. I had a 4 and a 4.5 and I needed a 5. So I've got those. So that's my plan. Hopefully this week I'll pick that up and start the sleeves on that one. But yeah, other than that, it's been a lot of kind of new cast-ons, although new cast-ons within existing cast-ons. Does that make any sense? Hopefully it will do in a second. So I have cast on, well actually, I'm going to go back, reverse slightly to talking about the advent blanket, because what I haven't shown you is I thought I'd show you the rest of the yarn for the advent blanket. This was the Spectrum Fibres advent calendar for 2020, and these are all the yarns. So these are all the colours that are going to go into the wrap. So these are the ones that I've added in so far. Then there's the 2 I just showed you, and then this is the next. So we're going this way, this way, this way, this way, and then down to the bottom, and then finishing off with this bright royal blue. Yeah. There we go. So that's the colours for that. Anyway, new cast-ons. Right, so first of all, I have cast on the dishcloth for March. If you have been watching, if you're a regular viewer, you'll know that I am joining in with the year of dishcloths from Garlene at the Kitchen Sink Shop. she is releasing a free washcloth pattern every month if you sign up to her newsletter. I will link her Instagram below and you can sign up to her newsletter via her Instagram, if that makes sense. And I have cast on March's. I believe it's called the Double Dutch. I forgot to look. But it is it's just a textured pattern this month. And this yarn really, in person it shows it off quite nicely, but I think it's going to struggle on the camera. It uses a series of knits and pearls, so it's a really, really simple one to work on, really, really fun. And I think I've got one pattern repeat left and I'm finished, but a pattern repeat's like 12 rows, so it's not too bad, it's coming along. This yarn is absolutely crazy. If you've watched for a while again, you'll know that I tried to order some new yarn for dishcloths and then ended up ordering stuff that wasn't going to work for dishcloths or washcloths and was more likely to work for amigurumi, that kind of cotton, if that makes sense. But I did have some of this. This is Sugar and Cream. Yeah, I've got another one as well. I've got that one. And so it's Sugar and Cream. And this one was the Beach Ball Blues? It doesn't sound right, does it, for this? I don't know. Have I got another one in there? That one is Moondance. Oh no, I think this was Beach Ball Blues colourway. And then I've also got this one, which I'll use at some point, which is the Love colourway. It's upside down, sorry. So yeah, I need to order some more solids because these are, as you can see from the way that this is knit up, these are very, very variegated. And I mean, it's cool, it looks fun, but it's not going to do much for showing off the lovely patterns that Garline has designed. So yeah, I want to get some kind of plain ones to show the patterns off a little bit better. But this one will be fun. This one will be fun for March. And I need to use up the yarn I have got, don't I? I thought about ordering some new stuff, and then I just thought, actually, if this is just a textured pattern, it won't matter too much it being variegated. And then it's gone absolutely crazy variegated and done really weird zigzags. But it's fine. It'll work. It'll look pretty, even if it doesn't show the pattern off as best as it could. So yeah, so that's my first new cast on, which will be a finished object next week, because really it should have been a finished object this week. I just got distracted by far too many new cast ons this week. And then I've also cast on the new blanket square. Oh, actually, I think I've got the first one in here. You'll know that I am running a yarn club this year for mini skeins, my Marvellous Monthly mini skeins through my website, and I knit up the January ones into a blanket square, which I will show. So if you're still trying to avoid the colours, then you probably aren't having much luck because I shared them on Instagram. But this was the first square that I knit up using the first 5 mini skeins. I'm using a pattern that's not been released. It doesn't exist as yet, but the lovely designer has sent me the numbers so that I can give it a go, and I'm using the DK minis. So this was the first square, and I've cast on the second square as well. Now I will switch quickly to black and white. Shall I do a fancy magic? I'm going to switch to black and white now. I didn't click my fingers. That didn't work, did it? Switch to black and white now. So that I can show without spoiling the colours, because they only shipped the beginning of this week. But I have done the first 2 of the block. So I'm getting there. I had knit most of the third one, and then I realised that I somehow managed to mess up the increases and it just went straight up and then out. So I ripped it back out and I will cast it back on again. But these are the ones I've done so far. So hopefully by next week I will have got this one finished so that I can get it blocked and get a nice photo for when I reveal the February ones. And I think they look quite nice next to each other. this is where I start to panic that my idea for the club all going together doesn't work. No, they do. They are all in the same kind of tone. I don't know. They look good next to each other. Imposter syndrome. But yeah, that's that one. That's coming along. We will switch back to colour now. Did anyone watch the episode a while ago when I was talking about Advent stuff and Arthur was sat with me and I did a magic switching to black and white thing and he completely didn't get it because obviously on the camera, on the screen that I'm watching while I'm talking to you, nothing changes. It's all done in the editing. So he was so confused and it was so funny. Anyway, so that's that one. That is on the go as well. I will share it with you next week because most people should have received it, and hopefully it will be finished. Then I've also cast on my stripy socks for March because obviously I need to keep joining in with Sharon's stripy sock along, and there are a whole host of stripy companies that you could go with for March. So I chose to go with Desert Vista Dye Works because I was gifted an absolutely gorgeous Desert Vista Dye Works colourway very recently. This is it. Obviously it's all caked up so you can't quite see all the colours. And this is, right, so it's from Desert Vista Dye Works. And the colourway is Sun Ripened Grapes. It's a merino nylon base. And yeah, the colourway is Sun Ripened Grapes. So I managed to get them both cast on. I'm knitting them concurrently as I am trying to do with all of my socks at the moment. So I have got 2 balls. And because they are an indie dyed self-striping, which one's got more progress? This one. Because they are an indie dyed self-striping, I am knitting them to match. So here is how far I have got. Cables and wires and yarn everywhere. This is how far I have got. So when I knit self-striping socks, to get them to match, I always do this little bit at the top of the cuff. So what I will do is I'll create I use a long tail cast on. I create my slip knot at the colour change between, so in this case I've created my slip knot at the colour change between the green and the purple. And then I'll cast on using the green and the purple yarn, which depending on which way you cast it on, you'll either get like I've got, where I've got like almost like a little green frilly bit at the top. Or if you do it the other way so that the purple comes along the top, you'll get a little green line that just comes. But I quite like that. I like the little kind of green bit at the top. I quite enjoy that at the top of my cuff. And it means that I can start and cast on in exactly the same spot on the second sock, so that I end up with matching socks. And as you can see, I've done the cuffs of both of them, and then I have started down the leg on this one. I don't know how many rows of cuff I did. I just did 3 colours, 3 stripes of cuff, and then I've started on the leg. And then I've done the same with this one, 3 stripes of cuff, and then I've started on the leg. So I'm really enjoying them. This is my simple, I'm literally just doing a vanilla sock. This is going to stay really simple knitting that I can just pick up and add a few rows to as and when, whenever I've got 5 minutes, whenever I'm sitting and watching a bit of TV and don't want anything that I have to concentrate on. That kind of thing. But yeah, hopefully I will get these done in March. That's the plan. Although I do plan to cast on another pair of socks in March as well. So we will see what happens. Right, let's pop these away. Do you know, somebody needs to invent, I was saying this to Gemma, the little grey girl, the other day. Somebody needs to invent a bag which has got 2 compartments inside so that I can knit socks concurrently. And I can put one sock in one side of the bag and I can put the other sock in the other side of the bag, and they stay separate and they don't get tangled up, but they're both still in the same bag. So bag makers out there, I'm telling you, this would be a good thing to do. Right, what else? have I cast on? More things I've cast on. I have also cast on a sample using the quarterly collaboration club from me and Erin, and I've mentioned this over the last couple of weeks, I think, and I don't think I've actually revealed the colours. So these are the two colours that came out of it. So the quarterly collaboration club, if you haven't heard of it before, basically Erin is the dyer behind Henny Penny Makes. She is a fantastic dyer. She's relatively local to me. And we decided that we wanted to do some kind of collaboration this year that was just a bit of fun, and we could kind of have a play with some dyes and we could do something together and it would be really fun. So what we've done is we have decided that each quarter we will release a quarterly collaboration club. We will select 3 dyes from the same dye brands, so that we are using literally the exact same 3 dyes, and we will each dye up a skein of yarn. We won't talk to each other about it, we won't communicate about it, and then those are the 2 skeins of yarn that go for sale as part of the club. And these are the 2 skeins of yarn that we came up with this time round. So this one here is Erin's, and you can see this has got a lovely kind of blue base. I love the colour of this base, a much kind of deeper blue base, but it's still got the spots of turquoise and the kind of pops of this kind of tealy colour. And then this one is the one that I dyed up. So mine has a much lighter base. It's a much paler base, and then it's got kind of more speckles of the navy in there, as well as pops of the turquoise, and I'm trying to see if I can find some of the teal in there as well. Oh, there we go, there. Spots of the turquoise and the teal as well. So yeah, so that is this month's. So the quarterly collaboration club is open for pre-order. Basically, we're going to dye up the skeins in advance so that you can see them, you can see what they are, and then we'll have a chat about them. We'll come up with some pattern ideas, and you can just pre-order them, and then they ship at the end of the month. We are having a chat on Instagram this afternoon, but that's a bit useless because this video probably won't go up until afterwards. But I'm sure we'll have saved it to our Instagram TV and all of that kind of stuff. So if you want to see what we chat about, then go and check that out. Yeah, what else was I trying to say? I can't remember. But yeah, I really like how these have come out. And I've cast on a sample so that I can share it on our Instagram this afternoon. Now, I'm hoping the lighting's going to be okay, because what I have cast on is a cowl. I am using the numbers from the Land of Sweets cowl and a few bits and pieces from the Land of Sweets cowl as well. I'm kind of adapting the Land of Sweets cowl to do what I want. So I started with the rib, very similar, but then I've done a section here of kind of subtle stripes where I've done 2 row stripes between the 2 different colourways. Then I'm going in now to a section, to the first lace section, and I'm going to do the first bit in the light colour in this one, the second bit in the darker one, and then go back to the lighter one, and then I'm going to do something else in the middle, and then it's going to kind of repeat on the other end. But I am loving these subtle stripes. Don't know how well they're going to come out on camera, but I'm really liking the way that these colours are working together in these subtle stripes. I think it'll be really interesting to see how they work together in the slightly bigger blocks in the next section as well. But yeah, so that is my kind of variation on a Land of Sweets cowl. Yeah, and that is everything new, I think, that I've cast on. But there were quite a few new things cast on, weren't there? Although I feel like the dishcloth and the blanket square were existing projects, if that makes sense. Right, talking about blanket squares, I was going to talk about a bit of blanket progress as well. The radiator isn't on, so it's not keeping my cup of tea warm. Advent blanket. Let's start with the Advent blanket. Again, if you watch regularly, you will have seen a lot of this. I've not made as much progress as I should have done over the last couple of weeks because I've had a few mornings where I've kind of slipped and I've not done my square a day. But I have added the new row. So I think last time I talked to you, I had added the yellow row, and I have now added the green and blue row in. So yeah, it's still coming along. It's still pretty big. And I've now added the green and blue row here. And I'm currently working on squares out of these two colourways. So I've done 3 squares in the lighter blue. I haven't bordered the 3rd square, and I've not done any squares in this one yet. But that's it. So I can do the 4 squares. And as I've not said, I always forget to say, this, I call it my advent blanket, but I'm using the advent calendar that I swapped with Erin last year. So this is all Henny Penny Makes 2020 advent calendar. And we've already agreed that we're going to swap again this year. So I'm excited to see what she comes up with for 2021. It's going to become a tradition to make a Henny Penny Makes advent blanket every year, I think. But yeah, I'm getting there. I'm making progress. It really should be finished soon because I've only actually got 2 more colourways after this. And it'll be finished. So it really is coming along. And then I'll also have a magic knot ball with all the tiny leftovers to do something with. So I'm hoping to make a little bit of time this week to put a bit of extra work in. I've been doing the other blanket that I'm going to show you. That's not the other blanket. Where have I put that blanket? Oh, here. The other blanket I was going to show you is my Mild Mayhem blanket, because I've been putting some progress in on this during Dungeons and Dragons. I have joined a D&D group with some lovely crafty friends. It's been so much fun. We had our first proper game session last Monday, and yeah, it was so much fun. I now want to play constantly. But I've been working on my Mild Mayhem blanket a lot during that because it's quite mindless and quite easy. I can still concentrate on what's going on and I don't need to focus too much on what I'm doing. But I have added 2 new squares to it, and I think it was these 2 squares. But I now have 2 full rows. And if anybody is new and they haven't heard about my Mild Mayhem blanket, I love this blanket. It is going to be so crazy and so colourful and so fun at the end of the day. And basically what I am doing is I have made magic knot balls from lots and lots and lots and lots of scraps. And these magic knot balls are pretty much made out of like the scraps of the scraps. So usually when I've got less than it's either when I've got kind of less than 5 grams left from a colourway, or it's when I've got kind of a colourway that I'm not necessarily going to use in other projects or not going to put in other blankets or something like that. I will add them to a magic knot ball, and then I just I'm holding 2 magic knot balls together. There is no colour management at all. It is completely crazy. I am holding 2 magic knot balls together, and then I am just crocheting really simple granny squares using the 2 magic knot balls held together to create big granny squares. And each of my I've got balls rolling everywhere. Each of my squares are, I think, 11 rounds of fingering weight held double. So they're a decent size. And then I'm literally just joining the squares, just crocheting the squares together, joining it as I go along. Again, no kind of colour management. I'm just shoving them in as they come, and it's just going to be bright and colourful and in your face and crazy, and I love it. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying it. But what I was about to say when I was talking about the Advent blanket is what I might do this week during D&D is I might actually work on my Advent blanket so that I can kind of catch up a little bit and maybe see if I can get a few more squares done during that rather than working on this. But this is definitely a very, very good D&D project because it's very mindless and very easy to focus on what's going on. Let's rescue my yarn balls. But yeah, that's what all my magic knot balls are going to become. and a great way of using up those kind of teeny tiny scraps. I've lost my crochet hook. I need to tidy up. Right, I'm trying to look where I've got to now. New Cast Ons, blanket progress we've shared. Let's move some of these bits and pieces out the way. Cross stitch. I was going to share a little bit of cross stitch. I've not done masses on this since I last shared it with you. But I've done a little bit. I would like, again, I just need more hours in the day for everything, don't I? But there we go. So this is how far I have got now. I have done a little bit. I am kind of just going to come down this side, I think, and finish this section. And then I'll go back and finish this section. And again, if you're new, the cross stitch that I'm doing, I don't actually have a picture of it in full because there isn't one, I don't think. I've only got the giant chart. So you will just have to see what it looks like as it grows. But basically, it's kind of a banner style bit in the middle that says, and they lived happily ever after, and then that is surrounded by floral patterning. And I am working on the floral patterning to start with, and I'm really enjoying it. It's really, really fun, but I need more time, and cross stitch is a slow thing anyway, isn't it? It's always quite a slow thing. But maybe I'll build some time in this week, one afternoon or something, when I'm waiting for yarn to set, and I will grab that and do half an hour or something like that, just to get a bit more progress on it. The pattern for that one actually is by Plastic Little Covers. Again, I'll make sure I link them in the show notes. She does lots of kind of fun, modern kind of cross stitch patterns, and she does them, a lot of them as PDFs as well. So you can just buy the PDF file and buy the threads and use what you've got already, which I think is really, really handy. Stitch, da da da. Books. Let's move on to books, shall we? And then I've got a bit of Yarny Goodness, a bit of shop news. So, books. Right, I'm going to move this basket down here now. This has got my books and my Yarny Goodness in. Where's the book? Okay, so, I'm sure I mentioned this last time, but I'm going to explain about books again a little bit. I used to be a massive reader. I used to just always have a book with me whenever I went. And then I had Jasper. Jasper is my youngest, and something after Jasper was born, I just stopped reading pretty much. I didn't have time for it. I think just managing a toddler and a newborn was just chaotic, and I fell out of the habit of it. And then I got into the habit of, like, when I went to bed, I'd probably sit scrolling on my phone or doing something like that before going to sleep, or I'd be so knackered that I'd just go to sleep. And then in 2019, December, the beginning of December 2019, I decided I really wanted to get back into reading more books. So I set myself a challenge where I would always read a chapter of my book every night before I go to bed. And I stuck to it for pretty much a year. And I mean, I by no means did I read the same number of books as a lot of people, but I managed to read, I think, 10 or 11 books in 2020. And I'd quite like to try and read more this year. And I'm sticking with my kind of evenings and stuff like that. And I'm trying now to bring the book downstairs with me. So if I get kind of 5 minutes during the day, I could read a chapter there or something like that. But anyway, I finished a book this month, and I read a lot of different books. I read a whole range of different books. So yeah, you'll see what I mean as I reveal the more books that I've read. But this is a book, my mum bought me this for Christmas. This is Harley Merlin and the Secret Coven. It is, I don't know whether it is a YA book or not. I kind of feel like it is, although there was, it doesn't actually tell me. It's one of those wonderful books that's been printed by Amazon. I kind of feel like it was a YA book, but at the same time it had quite adult themes in it as well. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure I was going to enjoy it to start with because it's very modern in its writing. It's very kind of I don't know how to explain what I mean by how modern is it, but like there's a lot of slang used when they're talking, and it kind of feels very modern in the way that the characters interact. They're young and modern, and it kind of made me feel a little bit old. But actually, the more and more I got into it, the further I got through it, the more I wanted to know what was going to happen, and I wanted to see the characters develop, and I wanted to know what was going on. And yeah, I definitely would read the next book in the series. It was very cheesy, it was very predictable, but if you are a fan of things like Harry Potter, if you're a fan of anything kind of fantasy or anything like that, then I would say give it a go, because it's really, really good fun. Lots of kind of magic and mystery and all of that kind of thing. I'll read the back, shall I? Being an empath has its advantages. Harley Merlin can sense people's emotions, among other things. It's how she snagged her first job pinpointing cheaters at a casino, but she has no clue where she got these freakish powers, because she spent her childhood jumping from home to home in the foster system, and her father left her with nothing more than a cryptic note. Then she crosses paths with a terrifyingly real monster, which is when a mysterious and annoyingly arrogant young warlock named Wade Crowley steps in, introducing her to a hidden world of magicals and covens riddled with secrets, as well as clues about her murky past. Whether she likes it or not, this new world is where she belongs. But after a disturbing twist of events, Harley quickly realises that her past is darker than she could ever have imagined, and that someone in the coven is out for her blood. With the help of Wade and her new friends, she must figure out who the traitor is and why they're targeting her, before the human and magical worlds dangerously collide. So, it's not high literature in any way, but it's fun and it's cheesy and it's very, very readable, and yeah, it's kind of like a mindless book. You know, like you have your kind of garter stitch knitting patterns. This is a garter stitch knitting pattern in book form. If you just need something that's really mindless, but actually kind of draws you in because you want to know what's going to happen, and it's a bit of fun and it's a bit mysterious, but it's basically kind of trash, then I'd recommend it. I enjoyed it, and I will be going back and reading the next book in the series, definitely. But yeah, it's not high literature. I think I've listened to a couple of her other books. Yeah, so Bella Forrest also wrote the Gender Game series, and I've listened to, I think, the first two of those on audiobook a while back. And again, it was kind of similar in that it wasn't high literature, but it was good fun, and it was really interesting concepts and really interesting kind of bits and pieces. So that is the book that I have finished this month. I am currently reading this one, Uprooted by Naomi Novik, and I will have this finished by the next time I do a long podcast, because I'm very near the end. This is brilliant. Really, really, really good. I won't read through the blurb and stuff now. I will, obviously, because I will talk about it more in the next episode that I do a book kind of chat. But this is really good. Somebody recommended this last time I asked for book recommendations, and actually Tom had just finished it. So I picked it up kind of straight away as soon as he had finished it, and yeah, it sucked me in. It is so good. It's kind of a variant. I don't think it's even retellings of it. It has like an Eastern European fairy tale feel to it, with lots of magic and lots of mystery, but it's very grown up as well in the way that it tells the story. But I will tell you more about that one next time. Yarny Goodness. I have some Yarny Goodness to share. Only a little bit of Yarny Goodness, and some of it that isn't yarn. But I ordered, well, a couple of things. Firstly, as I said, I ordered some higher needles from Ellie at Craft House Magic, and when I ordered those, I couldn't resist picking up the most ridiculous pair of little scissors that I've ever seen. I have got metallic unicorn scissors. they are ridiculous, aren't they? I mean, they're absolutely ridiculous. But they're so fun and I love them. So they are making me very, very happy. Ellie has loads of these. I think they are by Hire, but she's got absolutely loads of these with different styles and different designs in her shop, and they're really, really fun. But then the other thing I picked up was, again, not Yarny, but Bookwise. And this is completely because of my Dungeons and Dragons group. And that is these books. I picked up a copy of Unicorns, Dragons and More, Fantasy Amigurumi by Meteor Books. And I also picked up at the same time a copy of Dinosaurs, Mammoths and More, Prehistoric Amigurumi. So the Dragons one, I mean, it's got so many different crochet amigurumi patterns on the back. And again, if you've been watching for a while, you'll know that crochet amigurumi is very, very new to me. I managed a few bits and pieces here and there with varying degrees of success. But I'm quite excited to try these books out because one of the things that I thought was really good when I actually looked was like all the stitch tutorial bits have little QR codes which link you straight to video tutorials. For each stitch, which is really handy because I don't know, a lot of my issues with crochet and amigurumi is that I've not learnt to crochet traditionally. I've learnt to crochet through YouTube. So basically I know how to make a granny square because I know which stitch I need to do for that. But if I have a written pattern, I get really lost as to what is a treble, what's a double, what's a this, what's a that. And when things get more complicated, I get really lost. So the fact that it's actually got tutorial videos linked throughout the book is really, really handy. And then it also has kind of difficulty levels, difficulty skill levels and stuff like that as well. And yeah, really, so it looks really promising. So I'm thinking I'm going to try this one first. Because he is a difficulty skill level of 2, I believe. Let's see if I can find him. Should have been organised. Here he is. Koji the baby dragon. There he is. Koji the baby dragon. And yeah, he has he's a difficulty skill level of 1. So in theory, I should be able to do that. I've probably already got the green yarn potentially that I need. I will have a little look and see what I need to get. And at some point, not anytime soon though, I'm sure it'll be in a few months' time, I will have a go at tackling some amigurumi creatures. But these just looked really fun. And the fact that they've got all the video tutorials for the stitches means that I might actually be able to learn how to make them a bit better. So that's that. And then the final bit of Yarny Goodness is some actual yarn. I joined the Bumbling Yarns the Bumbling Yarns mini skein club, the scrappy mini skein club that Laura, who is Bumbling Yarns and Crafter's Balm and the Lonely Knitter. I signed up for her Buffy the Vampire themed one, and these are the minis. How cool are these? I did the 5 gram club, so there are 10 5-gram mini skeins. And they are so fun, and they've all got different names. So this one here was Dark Willow. I think this one here was Xander. I think that one, I'm not 100% sure which one was which now. I think that might have been Cordelia. They're all named. That was Spike and Angel, and they were all named for different characters and kind of different bits and pieces. And yeah, they're just super, super fun. Really, really pretty. I didn't sign up for the Crown one, but she's just released a Once Upon a Time one. And I've signed up for that one as well. I've got no idea what I'm going to do with these. I might just put them into my Cozy Memories blanket or something like that. Or part of me is tempted to have a go at maybe doing a little pair of socks with them. If I add in a 20 gram contrast, then that would probably be enough there to do a pair of socks. But I haven't decided yet. They will just sit looking pretty in my stash for a while until I decide what I'm going to do. But yeah, really, really fun colours. Okay, so that is all the Yarny Goodness. Now, the only thing left to talk about is shop news, I think. what did I want to talk about? Clubs. Clubs are still open for pre-order. They're open until the 15th. So that's my Once Upon a Yarn club, which is my Grimm inspired by the Brothers Grimm. And this month is inspired by the Frog Prince. I will be putting up the video for Snow White around the same time that this video goes up. I'm going to record it straight after I've spoken to you now. And I'll do a Frog Prince video as well, hopefully next week. I'll get it recorded so that that's ready to go up when the club ships. And the Marvellous Monthly Minis, again, the March instalment is currently listed in the shop ready for pre-order, and the 3-month instalments for April, May and June will go up at the same time as the monthly one at the beginning of April. What else? The collaboration club, the quarterly collaboration club, again, pre-orders are open up until the 13th. So if you fancy getting your hand on those 2 gorgeous skeins of blue yarn, they're available for pre-order in both my shop and Erin's shop as well. And we're doing it as 2 50-gram skeins or 200-gram skeins, depending on kind of what size of project you want to do. What else have I got written down in my show notes? Next shop update will be the 20th of March, hopefully. I'm planning on restocking some minis. So the pink gradient mini bundles were really, really popular, and I've had a few requests to restock those. So I'm going to dye up some more of those. I will be dyeing up a new, well, I keep saying new, but it's not new because I dyed them up in 2018. So it's not a new recipe. But I will be re-releasing the March mini ones as well, which are a yellow gradient. So I will get those dyed up at some point. And I'm also going to be releasing some of the Nostalgia Club colourways. I'm going to pick 3 of the Nostalgia Club colourways to release this month, and then I might release some more next month as well. The Nostalgia Club was my yarn club for 2020. And yeah, it was really good fun, and there's some really fun colourways that came out of it. So I'm going to be releasing some of those and restocking a few other mini bundles kind of here and there, hopefully. Stripes will hopefully be making a comeback in April. I have started the process. You are currently sitting on a box full of caked yarn ready for warping, and warping will be my job next week. So I have started the process of dyeing up some more stripes, which will hopefully be released in April. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do 2 colourways and just stick those 2 colourways. And I think that might be what I do. Just each month I'll dye up a couple of different colourways and stick a few of those in the shop. Yeah, hopefully we will see how it goes. And then the final thing I wanted to talk about was Advent calendars. And I know it's the beginning of March, but other dyers have already started releasing their Advent calendars, and I feel like I should at least talk about it. Mine will be releasing on the 1st of May. So there's plenty of time to think about it. I will be doing similar to last year. So there will be payment plan options available, or you can pay up front. I will also have the option for 10-gram or 20-gram mini skeins. I'm contemplating the option for DK as well. I'd be curious to know how popular that would be, because I need to factor in different batches and stuff like that. So yeah, let me know if you want DK. Let me know so I know kind of how popular that'll be. But I have a theme. So this year we are having a bit of a literary theme. I teased it on Instagram this week on World Book Day, and I will be doing a full reveal of everything mid-April. I am having some really fun, exciting artwork created. Again, I will tease that more as we go along. So I'm not going to be releasing anything on social media until that is ready. But shall I reveal the theme? Look, I have been planning. These are all the colourways planned in the book. I'll stop teasing you now. So I am basing this year's Advent on The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, which is a classic children's story, which I'm sure many of you will have read, by C.S. Lewis. I was contemplating spreading it out across the series, but actually there are more than enough colourways just in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. and it is the most well-known book. So I will be picking colourways from the book to dye up. They will, you're probably looking at an advent like this, if that makes sense. So you're looking at something that is going to be a variety of different colourways. You could do a really fun kind of scrappy project with them, but they're not necessarily going to fade from one to the other. It's just going to be really fun and colourful, and there will be colourways that go together. I will try and pop them in an order. Actually, I might not even pop them in an order. No, I'm going to pop them in chronological order. Excuse a child crying if you can hear it. Tom will sort it out, I'm sure. They're probably fighting over computer games. Yeah, I will be popping them in chronological order. So what you could do is you could read the book throughout December. You could read the book and the colourways would come up in the order as you read the book. I don't know. But I'm really excited about it. I'm so excited. I really wanted to start dyeing it. I'm so excited. Having picked all the colours out, all the colourways out, and knowing what all my inspiration is going to be, I just want to get on with it and I just want to start dyeing it. And yeah, it's really, really tempting. But I am so excited about it. I'm really excited about the artwork that I'm having done and everything. But yeah, full reveal on social media will be happening mid-April, and I will be releasing the pre-orders at the beginning of May. So if you're just trying to plan around other people launching their advent calendars and who's you're going to want and all of that kind of thing, then I just thought I would mention what I'm doing and when, so that you've got a bit of an idea. But yes, Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe is this year's advent theme. Whew. I think I'm done. I think that's everything. I think that is the episode. Yeah. Thank you very, very much for watching. I will be back. When will I be back? I will be back next weekend, hopefully, with, again, just a shorter episode. We'll stick these longer ones to once a month, where I can talk about extra bits and pieces. But I will be back again next week, hopefully with a little bit more progress on a few different things. And yeah, have a lovely week. And thank you very much for watching. And I will see you all very soon. Bye.